Hey guys, how's it going? So in this video, I'm going to show you the basic steps I take to get this segmented mesh approach to building characters. So if you look in here, I've got several different skeletal meshes. Now this is just a preview. This still needs to be assembled within the blueprints of the actual character, which I'll show you all how to do today. But also how I bring this in and make sure that I am not, let's look at my idle animation. Okay. And make sure that we don't have seams. If you bring these in wrong, you'll get seams where the splits are, and you'll clearly be able to see that it's two meshes. So we want to make sure that we're getting the normals right as we bring them in. So I'm going to bring you through the whole setup, show you what I do, and if you have any suggestions for a way that you do it that could be better, please let me know. But yeah, let's take a look at this. Okay, so we're in Maya, and I am ready to split this guy up and get him into my game, get all the skeletal mesh pieces into the game. Now, you don't have to export a new animation for each skeletal mesh. Each section of our mesh is going to be hooked up to the same full skeleton, so it's all going to work together. So this is a separate file, a duplicate that I've made, and it's just an original. You definitely want to reference this section out and keep good copies of everything. So that as you're updating your mesh, and if you fix some weight painting issues, you can come back and you can just update your references I showed you in the last video, and re-export your mesh segments. Again, that's also an important part to make sure all your FBXs for file transfer are in the same place and well organized, so you can quickly jump in here, fix something, and then re-import it into the game like I showed you last time, the simple re-import button. So we'll go over the first step first. In my process is I like to make selection sets. So I'm going to come up here to face, and I'll make some selection sets. So we'll just do one real quick to show you how you'll make it, and then I'll use my previous ones. So I just like to select a hand and make sure that I have everything I want in that specific selection set. So I like to keep a nice smooth hand. This is about where mine is. And I will duplicate that exact same selection on the other side, so you can work in mirror or just duplicate your work. It doesn't really matter. So once I have what I want selected in, I'm going to create a selection set for this. So to do that, I'm going to come up here to Edit. Nope. Create. Sets. Quick Select Sets. So when I hit Quick Select Sets, I'll name this something. So this will be hand, and it's left hand. Actually, we should probably put that first. So left hand. Doesn't matter because it's not one of my existing sets. So I'm going to hit OK. So that's in here. But now, anytime I need to come back in here and I need to re-export that hand because I have fixed some problems with the weight painting or whatever, I can come up here, hit select, quick selects left hand, and I've got that again. Okay, so cool. But when we are setting this out, quick selection sets would always be my first step. The second step would be making sure that we preserve the normals of this character as a whole. What will happen when I delete this hand or delete the rest of the body off of this hand is the area that the normals or that the vertexes were connected are going to automatically recompute those normals. And what it's going to do is it's going to make it different than what it is together. So when we bring the two separate pieces, the arm and the hand, back in, those split vertexes are going to bring in the wrong normals. Now we want those split vertex normals, but we don't want them to recalculate as soon as I split this mesh apart. So what I want to do is I want to lock the normals. So I'm just going to select my mesh before I split anything up, and I'm going to go to Mesh Display, Lock Normals. Cool. So now my normals are locked. If you're working with your own master save at this point and you had your reference rig and all that good stuff, I would at this point go ahead and save so you don't forget to do that with the different sections. I like to save a separate file for every single body part that I export out. That way I can, if I do mess anything up with the export or the import, I don't have to redo anything. I just go straight back to that file. Okay, so cool. I have got that. So now that we have that, let's actually export something. Let's export the arms. Our normals are locked. Our selection sets are made. So just click on this guy. I like going to faces just to make it see easier. Select, quick select set, arms. Now I actually have a mistake with my arms quick select set. I got the feet still in here, so I'm going to Control Shift I. So now only my arms are not selected, and I'm going to delete everything else. And at this point too, if you were worried about it, you can delete all the stuff as well. The fingernails and junk in here, and let's also delete these feet out of here. Let's get these feet out. Cool. So now I've got just my arms. So you might think, okay, we're ready to go. Select our skeleton and our mesh, and let's export this out of here. There's one last step we need to make. If I try to export this, and let me just show you, File, Export Selection. Okay, so when I tried to export this without doing anything to the arms yet, I've just deleted everything but the arms, I get error, unsupported operation on mesh vertex. The plugin has detected mesh nodes with unsupported, blah, blah, blah. This is the thing to look at. To correct this, delete the non-deformer history. You'll get this every time. If you read your warnings, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to select this mesh. I'm going to go up to Edit, and I am going to delete by type, non-deformer history. Now we'll try that again. Select my hierarchy on that. Grab this, File, Export Selection. Okay, so when we're exporting this, I showed you the animation in the last one, but when we're exporting a specific body part, there are a couple things to think about. I like to export my split vertex and my tangent and binormals, just so that they're in, because I'm going to want to be able to import these guys. I do need the animation turned on, although we're not baking the animation. I just need access to deformed models. So I'm going to bring in my skins and my blend shapes. And then if you hadn't built materials already, you could embed the media, but I built that separately in there. So now it's there. I've got my version 2 of arms, and I'm going to export the selection. Yes, export it. Good to go. Now you'll see I still have some issues with skin definition, constraints, unsupported constraints. These come up every single time with the way that I've created my mesh. It is not affecting anything in game. So let's close that out, and let's jump over to Unreal Engine. Okay, cool. So I'm in Unreal Engine, and I'm going to import this in. Now you can see here I have all my existing mesh selections, including my arms. So let's see if we can bring in a new set of arms for no apparent reason. If this was your second time, you would just come into the arms. So as you can see, I'm in here, and I have all my different selection sets. So we're going to bring in the new set of arms that we just made. We're not going to re-import with this because I want to show you the actual import settings. So add import, import to game, and they should be here, arms version 2. We're going to open them up. Cool. So yes, we want the skeletal mesh, or yes, it is a skeletal mesh. We want to import the mesh. We want to bring in our geometry and our skinning weights. So that's all good. Awesome. And we want to select the specific skeleton we're using. So here's my skeleton. And then we want to make sure we're importing normals. I believe to defaults, this would be compute normals, import normals and tangents, or just import normals. Whichever one you want to use, whichever one gives you a better look, and I'll show you how to look at that. And then I do not need materials. I've already got the materials, so we'll set that up. All right, cool. Import all. Sweet. So now it's in here. Let's grab our arms and let's take a look at it. So we've got our arms. If you're seeing this happen where it gets super white like this, that's eye adaptation. So go to post-processing, eye adaptation, and just turn it off. And then we have, if it's a multiple different sections, you hit highlight or isolate, and I'll show you which material goes where. These arms only have one material on them, and it's going to be the body. So just be able to hit body and rune body. Here we go. Cool. Now my arms are set up and they're in here. So we got the arms in, cool, but how am I checking to make sure that the binormals and normals are lining up and matching up right? Well, I come over here into the animation section, which allows me to bring in different sections. So you can see here, I have already set up this model so we can look at it, but let's bring in and make sure we're looking at our specific pieces. So for a preview mesh, what I had just brought in was my ARMS version 2. So I've got the whole thing in here. So these are all my individual mesh segments, and we know that the arms are right here, right? So let's take a look and make sure that we're not getting any weird seams going on. Now, if I had exported those without locking my normals first, the normals would have recalculated and we would have seen some seams. So I'm actually going to pause the video and export them wrong so that you can see how the normals are messed up. Okay, so we're back, and I have gone back and re-imported this wrong in many different ways. So I went back, I unlocked my normals, recalculated them, exported the arm piece again, as well as under the arms, I went ahead and I told it to compute normals. So with the compute normals, so it's making its own normals, or the normals unlocked, these are two different sections where we will get this seam that you can see right here flowing through. Now the animation will still work fine. So if I use a specific animation and I go to my idle, you can see as this guy's slowly moving back and forth, let's press play so I'll actually move. As he's slowly moving back and forth, the weight paints are good. They're still solid. They're not separating the mesh. We don't see any sliding or anything like that. It's just the normal that's messed up. So that's why we wanted to lock our normal. And when we import it, we want to make sure that our import settings are set. We come down here to import normals. So let's go ahead and re-import this base mesh with the import normal set right. And we actually may have just fixed it. Yeah, because my last mesh, I guess when I unlocked the normals and re-exported it, it didn't redo anything. But trust me, that's a part of it. So make sure that you lock your normals, make sure that you import your normals, and then this will all come in correctly. So this video has already gotten pretty long, so I will show you in the next video how I set this up within the main mesh. There's one last thing I want to show you though. So if we jump back into Maya, and let's say that we're not trying to export our arms now, we're trying to export our shirt. But if we notice, our shirt takes up quite a bit of arm. So I'm calling my shirt, and I'll show you this at a later point, a 2-slot item. So when I finally make my inventory, the shirt will take up 2 skeletal mesh slots. It'll take up both the arms and the chest. But I do not want all that arm in there to overlap. Just like if I was to bring my chest back, you would see I actually need just a teeny tiny bit of the torso right here to make it to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure when I export this mesh in, I'm going to export just a little bit of the arms with it. So all I'm going to do is hit the arms. I'm going to go to my face mode. Let's just do that for now real quick. And I'm going to select the faces on the inside of the shirt. So you can see I've got them selected there. I'm going to delete those out. So now I only have a minimal amount. If I look at my wireframe view, I only have a minimal amount of the arms left in there. But now I'm going to export all of this as one mesh section. And that is the exact same process as I showed you earlier. So we're going to select this. We already made sure that our normals were locked before we split it apart. I'm going to select these guys, edit, delete by type, non-deformer history, and now all I have to do is select these together with my skeleton, which is selected. You can see it over here. I just don't have it shown. And then file, export selection, and it's going to go the exact same as anything other than that. But if you have a section of this like a shirt that is taking place, that is going to take place of a segment inside your skeletal mesh, it needs to either completely cover the segment that it's replacing, in this section it's torso, or else you need to bring in the torso with it and just delete out the faces that the shirt is covering. I hope that makes sense. I hope with the explanation of how the arms went in here, that you see how you're going to need to remove those certain sections. Okay, cool. So I hope this was informative for you guys. I'll see you all in the next one for how I'm putting this back together inside Unreal Engine. See ya.